Hey guys, it's Ms. Hernandez. So we are actually on the second to last video covering Onward by Disney and Pixar. That's crazy, like the last second to last video. So after this, the next video will be covering the last chapters of the book. So for this video, we're going to read 15, 16, and 17. Next video will be 18 at the and the epilogue. So it's going to be pretty interesting reading those last parts of the book. So I hope you made some predictions about how this book might end, what might happen in the next chapters, because we left off on something pretty crazy. So in the last chapter, Ian and Barley came across a chasm. So it's like a big valley almost, kind of. So there's a huge drop in between one side and the other side. So it's a huge drop, and they need to get to the drawbridge on the other side. But the little lever to pull the drawbridge down is on the other side. So what they had to do was they had to have Ian say the spell. Which one is it? Bridge Grugar Invisia. It's a hard one to say. But basically they had to make an invisible bridge for just Ian to walk on. But for him to walk on it, he had to believe that it was there, even though he can't see it. So Ian had some trouble with that at first, but he was able to start walking on it. But halfway across the chasm, the rope that they had on him just in case that Barley was holding came off of him. So now he's very, he didn't realize it was gone until he was almost on the other side. And right when he turned around to celebrate, with Barley, he saw that the rope was gone. That made him lose his confidence. That made him start thinking, I can't do this. And he started falling. So it just left off with seeing Barley watched horrified as his brother plunged into nothingness. So let's see, if he survived or not. I mean, I'm assuming he did, but, it's crazy because you never know what's going to happen or how he survived. So we're going to see that right now. And what we also last read was that the Manticore and Laurel had gotten the sword. I wanted to call it the Sword of Sealing. That's from Legend of Zelda. But they got the sword that they needed, like a hero sword, to be able to take down the beast that might come out if they were to get the Phoenix Gem from the Curse. The Curse Crusher, that's what it's called. So they found the Curse Crusher, and now they have it in their possession. Now they're on their way to, save Ian and Barley, trying to stop them from getting the Phoenix Gem. And we also have, from what we also last read, Colt found the bumper of Guinevere, the van, with her little license plate on it. So Colt's kind of on their trail as well. He's kind of, finding where they are. So we're not sure if he's going to come up in this chapter or not, chapter 15, but we'll see. All right, so this is chapter 15 right there. We're going to get started. All right, so, but just in time, Ian managed to grab the edge of the pit's rocky rim. Using all of his might, he pulled himself up to solid ground and leaned against the bridge's lever. The old drawbridge creaked as it slowly lowered and touched down on the other side. Oh, so he just saved himself just by climbing up. Barley laughed, overjoyed. He did it, Dad. Ian tried to catch his breath as he watched Barley hop into the van and drive across the bridge. As soon as he parked, Barley jumped out to hug Ian. That was amazing. Ian stood still as stone. How long was the rope gone? Oh, just like the second half of it, said Barley nonchalantly. I needed that rope. Oh, but did you? Ian's anxious expression. Hold up, guys. I'm going to get her out real quick. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Alright, so Ian's anxious expression melted away. A smile crept across his face as he considered what he had just accomplished. Barley gasped and pointed to a sculpture of a raven that had been revealed when the bridge was lowered. He took out the wrinkled children's menu and showed Ian. The clue on the menu said Raven's Point. Yeah, in the mountains. But maybe the puzzle didn't mean the mountain, said Barley. Maybe it means follow where the raven is pointing. He looked up and tracked the line of the raven's beak. Another raven statue stood in the distance. That one could be pointing to another raven, all the way to the gem. Ian couldn't believe it. I had us going the wrong way? Well, I told ya, my gut knows where to go. Barley looked down at his stomach and gave it a pat. Don't you, boy? Yes, you do. Ian couldn't help smiling at his brother, impressed. Come on, Dad, called Barley. He led Dad to the van and jingled his keys in the air. Guinevere will get us to that raven in no time. Just then, a siren blared, drawing their attention back to the bridge. A police car sped across it, screeching to a hole in front of them. Ooh, who do you think it is? I think we all know who it is. The door flew open to reveal Colt. You guys are in trouble big time, he said, straining to get out of the car. No, Colt, we found a spell, explained Barley. If we finish it before sunset, we'll get to see our father. Barley showed Dad's legs to Colt. Well, your mom told me there was some kind of strange family issue going on, and this is definitely strange, Colt muttered, trying to figure out what he was looking at. Determined to stay focused, he shook his curiosity away. But no, dang it, I'm not letting you upset your mother anymore. Now you get in the vehicle, I'm escorting you home. No way, exclaimed Barley. I'm giving you to the count of 3. Colt stomped his hoof once, twice, and then, okay, we'll go, said Ian, grabbing the keys from Barley. Ian, said Barley, disappointed to see his brother surrendering so easily. He's a police officer, said Ian. He turned and headed toward the driver's side of the van. Colt watched and nodded to Ian gratefully. They climbed in, and Barley looked at Ian, surprised to see him getting behind the wheel. What are you doing? I don't know, said Ian. Then he stomped on the gas pedal and took off. Barley looked through the back window to see Colt standing there, completely stunned. Ha, yeah, cheered Barley. Ian Dorr Lightfoot, breaking the rules. I can't believe I'm running from the cops. You're not running from the cops. You're running from our mom's boyfriend. Sirens blared and lights flashed. Ian looked in the rearview mirror to see several police cars behind Colt. Okay, now you're running from the cops, said Barley. Ian veered off the path, crashing into a fence. Wood debris flew everywhere. The police car swerved to follow Guinevere. Ian spotted a raven statue in the distance, and the van fishtailed as he whipped around a tight corner to get closer to it. He sped up and turned down another narrow mountain pass that quickly became a dead end. He swung the van around, but the police cars were already starting up the road. There was no escape. They climbed out of the van with Dad, and Ian felt a rush of regret. Oh, what did I do? I shouldn't have driven away. No, it was great, said Barley. He pointed to some boulders hanging over the pass. Block the road with those boulders. What? How? Arcane lightning. You said that's the hardest spell, said Ian nervously. You were ready. Barley handed Ian the Quests of Your book and pointed to the spell. To make lightning strike with ease, one must follow all decrees. You have to do everything. Speak from your heart's fire, trust yourself, focus, all of it. Ian picked up the staff and pointed it to the boulders. Voltar Thunderseer, he said, uncertain. Voltar Thunderseer! A small lightning bolt shot from the staff and pinged off the boulders. He tried again, but his magic wasn't strong enough to move the boulders even a little bit. I can't do it, groaned Ian. The police cars were rapidly getting closer. We're not going to see you, Dad, and it's all my fault. Ian couldn't believe his chance of meeting his father was slipping away. Barley thought for a moment before making a decision. With a pained expression, he popped the tape into the van's tape deck. Sad, heroic music blared from the speakers. Ian asked Barley what he was doing, but he didn't answer. He was busy working. He aimed Guinevere like he was lining up a pool shot, then picked up a large rock and placed it on the gas pedal. He knocked the screwdriver gear shift down to O. The brothers watched as Guinevere lurched forward. One of her turn signal lights fell to the ground, but she continued, racing toward the boulders. Then the rocky terrain popped one of her tires, causing her to bounce along the ground as though in a gallop. With the music blaring triumphantly, the glove compartment flew open. Parking tickets fluttered out into the wind like celebratory doves. Ian watched in awe as Barley saluted his beloved Guinevere for the last time. Just as the police cars approached, the van slammed into the target and flipped over. Piles of boulders rained down, surrounding Guinevere, completely blocking the road. It was impossible for the police cars to get through. Barley bent and picked up Guinevere's turn signal light. He gave it a loving rub before gently placing it into his pocket. Barley, Ian began, unsure of what to say. She was just a beat-up old van, said Barley, burying his emotions. Come on, we gotta go. Barley walked off the road and started through the brush toward the raven statue. For a moment, Ian looked back at the boulders covering Guinevere. Then at Barley walking ahead with Dad, he hurried to catch up with them. Oh, that was the end of chapter 15. So that's so sad. They had to use Guinevere. Oh my god, I feel like I just lost like a huge part of the book. Guys, it's so sad. I hope I'm not the only one that's sad. I mean, kind of, but not really. Like, come on, guys, it's sad. That was like their trusty steed. So now we're on chapter 16. I gotta get a little bit of a moment for that one. Oh man. Alright. Chapter 16. The boys and Dad walked in silence until they reached the raven statue. Just as Barley had thought, its beak pointed to another raven in the distance. They continued walking from raven to raven until they finally reached one near a small river. Barley pulled some overgrowth aside to reveal its beak. Unlike the others, it pointed straight down toward a disc buried in the ground. Barley began to pull at it. Then Ian noticed something on the disc. Wait, he said, wiping some dirt away. They could see the reflection of the raven's chest in the disc. Ian felt the statue with his fingers and pulled out a loose, clover-shaped stone. You see that, Dad? Said Barley, impressed. The apprentice has become the master. Barley took a closer look at the stone and saw that it was engraved with a few wavy lines and an X. He thought the wavy lines looked like water. Ian looked around and pointed at a small river flowing into a tunnel. So what's the X mean? On a quest, an X only means one thing, said Barley, smiling. We go to the end of the water, and we'll find that phoenix gem. They stepped down to the river and entered the dark tunnel. Ian used magic to light a torch, guiding the way. Then they were startled by a group of horrific-looking unicorns huddled in a corner. The boys screamed as the creatures hissed and fluttered away. Unicorns, ugh, said Ian with a shiver. As they walked along the bank of the river, past ancient paintings on the tunnel walls, Barley snacked on those cheese puffs while Ian held the torch. Ian tried to see the tunnel's end, but he couldn't. This water could go on for miles, said Ian. We don't have that kind of time. If we had something to float on, we could cast a velocity spell on it and fly down the tunnel like a magic jet ski, said Barley. Ian looked around, but didn't see anything useful. Remember, on a quest you have to use what you've got, said Barley. He looked down at a cheese puff in his hand and grinned. Moments later, Ian recited the magic words, Magnora Gargantuan. Light flashed, and suddenly Ian, Barley, and Dad were floating on a giant cheese puff. Ooh. Barley and Dad were floating on a giant cheese puff. Ian wielded the staff and commanded, Excelsior! No, I'm sorry, Excelsior. I wish I could say that one. Excelsior! The cheese puff boat zoomed into the darkness. This is actually kind of cool, said Ian. So what other spells do you know? Ooh, brace yourself, young mage. I can show you all there is to know about magic. Seems pretty cute, pretty interesting between them. Meanwhile, Laurel and the Manticore continued making their way toward Ian and Barley, but without a warning, a flying sprite hit the windshield. Laurel and the Manticore screamed. With the sprite blocking her view, Laurel drove the car off into the road and into a ditch. I think I stung my leg, said the Manticore, kicking the door open. They got out the car, feeling a little dazed. The sprite peeled herself off the windshield. You almost killed me, lady. Are you okay? Asked Laurel. Where did you come from? Suddenly, more sprites swooped down, Dewdrop among them. You were in our flight path, she said. So I don't know if you remember, guys, but Dewdrop and all those sprites are the ones that were fighting with Ian and Barley on the expressway. So, like, after, they almost died, they were able to start flying again. So now they left their motorcycles and they're flying. The Manticore took in the sight of the car. The front was smashed, and smoke puffed out of the engine. Oh no, she said. Our transport. How are we going to get your sons now? Laurel looked around for a sign of hope and watched as the sprites rose into the air. Come on, pixie dusters, let's take to the skies, called Dewdrop, leading them in flight. Watching the sprites fly off in the distance, Laurel got an idea. She turned to the Manticore. How do you feel about exercising those wings? The Manticore fluttered her wings nervously. Ooh, so she might have to start flying again. The boys continued speeding through the tunnel on the Cheese Puff boat. Ian stood holding the staff as Barley helped him learn a new spell. Boombastia! Shouted Ian, causing a small spark to ignite. Ian didn't mind it when Barley adjusted his shoulder a little, reminding him of the proper posture. Once in the correct position, he tried again. Boombastia! Fireworks shot out of the staff, exploding in a colorful display above. Barley cheered. You're a natural! He ripped a chunk of the giant cheese puff and threw it at Ian. Think fast! Aloft Elevar, said Ian, without missing a beat. Using magic, he caught it and tossed it back to Barley. Nice, said Barley, popping the cheese puff back into his mouth. He pulled an apple-sized piece off the boat and chopped down on it. Careful how much boat you're eating there, man. We still gotta make it to the end of the tunnel, said Ian. Good point. Barley took another bite. I can't believe I'm this close to actually talking to Dad, said Ian. You know what I'm gonna ask him, said Barley, if he ever gave himself a wizard name. What? Well, 'cause he was into magic, lots of wizards have cool names. Allura the Majestic, Beardar the Fanciful. Anyway, it'll just be nice to have more than 4 memories of him. Ian turned to Barley. 3. You only have 3 memories of Dad. Oh, yeah. Barley, do you have another memory of Dad you haven't told me? Asked Ian, sensing his brother was hiding something. Barley paused and looked pained. A little pained, sorry. It's just not my favorite. Ian asked him to explain. I was soon about to get sad, I feel like. Barley glanced over at his brother and hesitated again. When Dad was sick, I was supposed to go in and say goodbye to him. But he was hooked up to all these tubes, and he just didn't look like himself. I got scared, and I didn't go in. Ian watched Barley regretfully his regretful expression as he thought about his words. But that was when I decided I would never be scared again. Ian gave his brother a soft smile. For the first time, he understood Barley's incredible fearlessness. Just then, Barley noticed something ahead. Moments later, they stepped off the boat and climbed to an ornate, ancient archway. The final gauntlet, said Barley in awe. The Phoenix Gem is just on the other side. Dad walked ahead of Ian on the leash. Barley spotted skeletons scattered about. Careful, there could be booby traps. This place is like 1,000 years old, said Ian. There's no way there could be. At that moment, a blade swung from the hole in the wall, cutting off Dad's fake upper body and flinging it in behind them. Barley and Ian gasped in horror. How many times is Ian not going to listen to Barley and then something happens? A sudden wind picked up and blew out the torch. A trap door in the ceiling began to open, casting a sickly green light into the tunnel. Oh no, it can't be, said Barley. A prickly rush of anxiety tingled through his body as something dropped from the ceiling. A green, jelly-like cube jiggled toward them, engulfing Dad's fake upper body and instantly dissolving it. At the other end of the tunnel, a wall slowly lowered from the ceiling. If it reached the ground, it would lock them inside with the cube. Run, yelled Barley. Ian noticed a bunch of stones on the path ahead that had symbols on them, and there were hundreds of holes in the wall. Wait, he said. It's some kind of puzzle. We gotta figure it out before we... No time, interrupted Barley. Grab a shield. Barley and Ian frantically pried shields from the bony hands of nearby skeletons. Holding Dad protectively between them, they raced toward the opening beneath the descending wall. Barley screamed like a warrior, while Ian screamed in panic. As they stepped on the marked stones, arrows and battle axes released from the holes in the walls around them. The cube continued to chase them, eating every weapon that shot into its path. Ian and Barley ran hard to make it under the wall, and stopped short when they found themselves at the edge of a drop. Razor-sharp spikes covered the bottom of a pit. Ian turned to Barley. Jump! Barley looked at Ian like he was nuts. Trust me. Barley glanced at the gelatinous monster behind them and the descending wall ahead. He closed his eyes and jumped. Woo! Ian conjured the levitation spell to stop Barley in mid-air. Then, dragging Dad along with him, Ian leapt off the edge and used Barley's head as a stepping stone to get to the other side. Ian's magic lifted Barley over the rest of the pit just as the cube closed in. Wow, he's getting pretty smart. Barley and Ian slid under the wall as it inched to the ground, but Dad was still on the other side. Ian tugged hard on the leash, pulling Dad under seconds before it slammed shut. Ooh, he almost got hit. Sorry, guys, getting comfortable. Ian took a step back, but Barley stopped him and pointed to a star-shaped tile on the ground. Don't step on that, warned Barley. Suddenly, there was a clanging noise. It sounded like giant gears turning and shifting through the walls. Then water rushed in, quickly lifting them off their feet and toward the ceiling. I didn't touch it, exclaimed Ian. As Barley tried to keep Dad afloat, Ian pointed the staff toward a hole in the wall in the round door at the top of the chamber. Voltar Thunderseer, Ian shouted. A lightning bolt shot out of the staff, but it bounced off the door. As they rose in the water, they could see that the hole was the same star shape as the tile on the ground. Maybe we were supposed to step on it, said Barley. Before Ian could stop him, Barley dove into the water. As Barley pressed on the tile with his foot, the door in the ceiling began to open. Ian cheered, but Barley couldn't hold his breath long enough to secure the door in place. The door closed as he swam back up to the surface. It's impossible, said Barley, gasping for air. No one can hold their breath that long. Ooh, what do you think they're going to do for this part? Oh, it's getting crazy, guys. So much action. Ian and Barley looked at each other and then at Dad, an idea striking them simultaneously. What do you think they're going to do? I have a feeling. So I'm going to give you a little second just to kind of think about that. You get an idea? All right. He guided Dad around, trying to get his feet to hit the tile. I'm sorry, I forgot to read. Ian held the leash and let Dad sink to the bottom. He guided Dad around, trying to get his feet to hit the tile. The water continued rushing in, rising higher and higher, threatening to submerge them. Ian and Barley took their last gulp of air as the water line slipped over their heads. Just then, Dad stepped on the tile and the door began to open again. Rays of light streamed in from above as the door locked into place. The boys rose to the surface, inhaling great breaths of air as they climbed through the doorway. Laughing with relief, they pulled Dad up by the leash like fishermen reeling in a big catch. So I thought they were going to use the Dad, so if that's what you thought, you're right. We made it, said Barley. Above them, they saw what looked like another portal. A short ladder embedded in the wall led right to it. The Phoenix gem awaits beyond this door. Shall we? Said Barley. Ian smiled. We certainly shall. They climbed the ladder, Ian in front, and laughed with anticipation and excitement. Dad, we followed the quest and it has led us to our victory, announced Ian. He anxiously pushed the panel aside and pulled himself up. He squinted his eyes as his eyes adjusted to the light. He couldn't believe what he saw. Ooh, guys, that's the end of chapter, look, let me show you better. That's the end of chapter 16. I'm kind of debating if we should read 17 for tomorrow. For Monday or not. Oh, man. I wish I could ask you guys if we should do that or not. Because we have 17, 18, and the epilogue. And it sounds like, what if 17 is, really connected with 18 and the epilogue? Maybe we could save those for next time. You know what? Yeah, we're going to do that. Sorry, guys. So this is going to be even a little shorter than the last time because I think we should save 17 for Monday. Give it a pretty cool transition. I think reading them all together would be pretty interesting. They left us on a cliffhanger. So I think it's good to kind of stay at a cliffhanger and then read everything else, the rest of the story in one sitting. So instead of breaking it apart. So this time we're saving the last 3 chapters for the next video, which will be on Monday. I'm going to show you those other pictures. I don't know if you got to see them as good last time, so I'm going to show you them again. So this one just refers back to the beginning where it talked about the unicorns, how they would fly everywhere, and how times have changed, and now we just have people always on technology and stuff. And then this is where it talks about the characters of the book, the main characters. So we have Barley, Ian, and Laurel, and she kind of talks to them about, in this part, um, about their father, I believe. Yeah, she talks about how she got the gift for them from their dad, which was the staff for his 16th birthday, and it's just kind of introducing what kind of characters they are, like how Barley is bold and boisterous, and Ian is shy and awkward, and that they talked about how his dad passed away, so it's pretty sad and interesting. And then we can look at the rest of this stuff. Okay, so let me get on this side so it's easier for me to read to you. So the top box says, the gift is a spell, a phoenix gem, and a wizard staff. With these objects, they can bring Dad back to life for one day. So there's the phoenix gem. That's what it looks like. The bottom one says, Barley tries first, but nothing happens. After Ian recites the spell, light bursts from the staff. Barley proclaims that his little brother has the gift of magic. Oh, so that's what it looks like when Ian uses magic. That's pretty cool. I wonder if you guys are kind of imagining it that way. And this is the family's pet dragon, Blazy, arriving to investigate some commotion in the room. So that's Blazy. And on the bottom it says, the spell only brings back Dad's bottom half. Ian makes a disguise for him and they set off on a quest. They need to find another Phoenix gem to complete the spell. So here is when they embark on their adventure. That's pretty cool. And there's a few more. I know we looked at this last part where that was them at the chasm. And this is Ian walking across the chasm. And it's around this point, I believe, that the rope actually, goes off of him. But we didn't get to, it doesn't show that in the picture. Oh, look at that. This is the parts where we read where they were trying to get gas and they ended up getting in trouble with the sprites. It says, along the way, Barley's van Guinevere runs out of gas. Ian tries to use a growth spell to increase the amount they have, but he accidentally shrinks Barley instead. So up here is Ian trying to focus, but Barley keeps messing with him. And then, look, he turned tiny. So he's like almost the same size as the gas tank. On the other page, it says, Ian and Barley encounter a motorcycle club of sprites called the Pixie Dusters. The leader, Dewdrop, gets angry at the boys. The Pixie Dusters chase Guinevere. Even though he's scared of driving, Ian takes the wheel and escapes the sprites. So, that's what Dewdrop looked like. But that's what Guinevere looks like. Oh, I'm so sad, guys. Like, we lost Guinevere, and now we can kind of see what she looked like. That magical unicorn on the side, and, like, those pretty blue colors on her. And you can kind of see Ian peeking out right there. Guys, I'm so sad about losing Guinevere. I don't know about you. But those were all the little pictures that they had for this book. So, sorry. I think these are taken directly from the movie. So that's pretty cool. You can kind of see what these characters are supposed to look like. So, guys, I can't get over Guinevere. I'm so sorry. All right, so, I hope you enjoyed us reading so far, and I hope you're really excited for the ending of this book. I know I'm super excited, and I'm interested in what's in that epilogue. I don't look at these chapters before I read them with you. So, like, everything that I'm reading, guys, it's from fresh eyes. I have not seen it yet. I have not read it yet. It is completely only with you. So, we're going to see it together on Monday. And last 3 chapters, guys, can you believe it? After that, we're going to have, different books again. But for right now, we're going to finish up this one. So this was Onward and Pixar from Disney. I'm sorry. Onward from Pixar and Disney. Or Disney and Pixar, whichever one you want to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video so far. I hope you're enjoying the book. I hope you take care and have a happy fiesta. Bye, guys.